Hello everyone, what's going on, and welcome to another commentary slash analysis, if you want to consider it as such. This time we're going to go back to Sally's in Siege because we have sort of a follow-up from the Sally video they made last time, which was like a year ago maybe, called The Art of the Sally, which was about basically how Sally is effective in Siege, how to stop it, and sort of the land player perspective on that. Well, that was Season 9 of the Total War League Siege, which basically what happened was the grand final of that tournament was won by a Saba ODK Sally, and now we're in Season 11, maybe a year and a half later, something like that, 2 years maybe? Probably not that long, probably a year and a half. And, well, Season 11 has also been won by a Saba ODK Sally, so a few things are different, but kind of, guys, we need to learn from our mistakes, right? We'll say a few things are different. The tier list and the way the factions are picked is slightly different, but if anything, it kind of favors the attackers even more. If you remember in the last game, the defender or the attackers had kind of free pick, so I guess in that sense it was kind of better. They got to pick Parthia and Rome. In the new system, your factions have to add up to 0 points on the tier list. You get plus 3 points for attacking, plus 2 for defending, and then the factions are in the tier list. So I'm not sure if Saba ODK even adds up to 0. It might be more than 0. Like essentially the factions are worse than the average combo, according to the tier list. But the attacker factions, in theory, have at least 1 more extra points to play for. And the other big difference is that now the attackers are picking last, whereas before the defenders were picking last. So I think it was so the teams here, it's J-Barbs and Bees, aka Parthia's Finest, playing as the Sally, and it's Gherkin and Fight Me. I don't remember what their team was called, I don't really care. They're playing against that on the attack. They first picked Numidia, Masazeli. Saba ODK got counterpicked by defense, and then Seleucid was picked last, which is certainly an interesting choice. And we'll go through the builds and stuff, but mainly we're just gonna, watch the battle, analyze what happened, what went wrong for the Sally, or the defending against the Sally side, and what could be improved for the future. So hopefully we don't have another grand finals that Saba ODK steamrolls again. So with that being said, let's get right into it and observe. So we can see that, well, a few interesting. Well, we'll take a look at the armies as well once we load in here. But Saba has a pretty small army, I would say. ODK has a bigger army, but while they go out here at the start of the battle, let's remind ourselves or what we said in general about how to defeat the Sally. So we're playing on Casurgis, so usual way to attack is here or here. This is generally preferred against the Sally, and also, by the way, preemptively assuming that they're going to come out here, and this actually works out quite well. These ballistas actually just get so many kills on the first volley of the game. So very, very nice pre-fire, essentially, knowing they're going to go out the gate. And the ballista racks up a nice 76 kills on the first volley, so very nice. But anyway, this side is preferable against the Sally for a lot of players because the river is going to do a lot of defense, and also the gates are just really far, so they have to come out this gate, and yeah, that was used to the advantage of the ballista here, getting already 90 kills now on the second volley. So ballista getting value on Thracian warriors only, but still getting value. Anyway, they decided to attack this side. They also have guerrilla deploy with the Numidian Lights, so they get to guerrilla deploy all their shit. Very nice. You can put the tower wall wherever. They also have a turret here, so yeah, the usual way if you're gonna attack this settlement is, break down this shit and use this side to, with the tower wall here, to sword side anyone holding the flat wall, and then you can push in and grind, maybe destroy this tower or something before you can capture it, maybe just destroy it and walk in, or destroy this wall and capture it. Anyway, so that's like the normal attack, and you can kind of see they've played almost like that's the case, but now there's a Sally in play. So what did we learn last time against a Sally? What do you need to do? So the main thing I suggested is you don't want to give the Sally space. Giving the Sally space, forcing yourself into a corner, is really risky because if anything goes wrong, you're boxed in, first of all, and B, it gives the defending team, aka the Sallying team, a lot of space to play off of, right? And the fact that they can put units in places that normally they wouldn't be able to. For example, in this game, they're going to end up holding something like this, and attacking directly into the flat wall. And now they can post up all these units here to defend the flat wall, and normally that would be impossible because you're just going to get sword-sided from here or backshot from here if you're holding this. So now, like, these defending units inside are going to get a lot of value that way. So that's why I said you should never give the Sally space. In fact, you should go out and meet the Sally on the flat ground where you have a lot of space because inevitably you have more units outside than the Sally. There's going to be, 2 slingers. There ends up being like 5 Mascot, a Thracian Noble, a Cataphract, and a couple of slingers, maybe 3 or 4 slingers inside with like 5 Mascot and this Desert Levy, which means there's really only ODK, like 3 Mascot, and the 3 Cataphracts outside. So that, that's it's a sizable force, but it's not 2 armies sizable. So if you just come here and fight the Sally head on, sure, the Sally's never going to engage into you, but you get to keep the space, which means you can tort down this wall, you can bring your archers here and sword side if they want to hold, and you just play it like a normal game. Of course, you're going to eventually have to go inside with some of your units, and that will siphon off the potential for the Sally to attack you. But then the other thing that we said was that attack, as long as you have enough cav, right, so you don't get overwhelmed on the flank, fighting against, especially ODK, straight head-on is actually really good because the only place they're actually going to get a lot of value is where the nobles are, and there aren't too many nobles. And the nobles are also extremely dumpable, right? So there's not that many places where the nobles will get in and get a lot of value. Where there's only Thracian warriors, you can either charge them, or they just lose head-on to your infantry, or you can, peel them or whatever. A lot of options there. And of course, the Cataphracts are a big threat. The combination of the Cataphracts and the Nobles, very good against Cav or whatever. That's true, but they also don't have a lot of staying power. So by playing wide, you siphon off their reserves. They don't have a lot of reserves. You actually have more units. Maybe it's kind of equal numbers once you start to go inside or whatever. But that means they don't have reserves to cycle charge, which means that the Thracian Nobles, sure, will get a good charge on something, but in the long term, they're eventually going to die. They're going to be easy fire for your archers and other missiles. And again, the other thing is if you're spread out, your archers have way more space to maneuver around the battlefield to shoot targets. If they're in here, they really blob up on each other. It makes it hard for them to shoot. So that is a disadvantage as well. So those were kind of the main things that I argue you should do: is play, heads up, head on against the Sally. Don't fear. Obviously, you just take the right factions to do this, so that's a big thing. I mean, the other game was Parthia and Rome, which are extremely good in the sense that Parthia's cav can just, the Eastern Cataphracts can just counter the Saba Cataphracts, and then the Roman infantry just, dicks ODK basically, and you have a ton of archers. Not so easy with Seleucids and Missazli, and of course they had to first pick something, and so they first picked Missazli, not knowing, of course, what would get picked against them, which is interesting to do this. Maybe obviously they had no clue if they were going to sally or not, but it is what it is. But anyway, yeah, so face it head on, take the fight, and then just play the battle like you normally would, basically. Play the siege as if there was no sally, because your units that are usually just in reserve kind of jerking off are just defending against the sally heads on, and then you go, you break the walls down, you destroy the tower if you need to with the ballista, you set up your missiles, and you just play like a normal battle with the caveat that if the sally tries to attack, you have a much faster rotation than the units inside. The units inside can't really help except for coming out of the breach, which is obviously going to be kind of hard because they're kind of walking into the middle of your line. Whereas your units you can siphon off reserves as needed to help against the Sally if they choose to attack. And of course, if they play it slow and don't attack, then you're only facing a few units inside. So long term, you can use your archers, use your missiles to grind them down, and then get inside. And then the Sally's kind of useless, right? Because you just go inside and they have to make they have to hit basically the perfect timing to kill you if you're holding here, where they need to route this line quickly. You can always still cycle reserves even from inside to outside if you need to, and then you can break your line very efficiently because you're going to get a lot of value inside if you play it slow, because these are only a few units that are going to be easy to shoot down essentially if they want to hold close to the breach. And if they don't want to hold close to the breach, well then you just go inside and you ignore them, the outside units, cut them off at the gate or whatever, and block them outside. So anyway, that's sort of what we said, so let's see what goes on. The other thing is, right, we have to think about what Saba and ODK can do, right? They have the Cataphracts, sure, but that's their only cav, and the Cataphracts are expensive, and you kind of need them, alive, as more ballista shots come in, and still get, getting pretty good value here. Ballista is up to 129 kills. So they've done one really good thing, which is putting the ballista here. I like this. You can see so much of the terrain where they want to come from. So this is very nice. But you can see they're already giving up all the ground, and also they're just in range of the towers, right? So they're just letting the towers absolutely cook them. And their goal is obviously to rush inside, but that doesn't make any sense because rushing inside without the proper preparation means that these units inside, I mean, you're literally attacking into a flat wall with sword side showing from slingers that are positioned here. Actually, a Gate Sally comes out, a nice little, play, just using the fact that these guys are so far away to get some free Desert Legionary kills. Marauders are going to trade pretty well with the Desert Legionnaires and their Slinger Fire and Towers. So this trade is obviously really good. Some Slingers might actually end up dying here. This is probably unnecessary. And you can see there's a Thracian Noble and a Cataphract inside as well. But anyway, like I was saying, if you rush inside and you try to, like, the Sally's already here. Like, you're too late. You're not even inside yet. If you try to rush inside, you're just going to take Fila, you're going to run to a flat wall, you're going to get cooked by the towers, and they can just post up Slingers here and swordside you. And they still have the opportunity to cycle charge, because their units are fully healthy and you're not really making a lot of breaches, right? You're not breaking this, you're not going to be able to breach this. So they only need to hold, like, these wall sections, and they have, like, enough units to do that pretty easily. And so that's problematic, right? Because now the Sally can take a lot of space on you, and now you're cornered. And at that point, the game is going to be very difficult to continue from there. And so by rushing inside, you're not really gaining anything. You're just giving the units inside a ton of value, where if you play it slow, they will get no value. They will literally just die to missile fire. The other thing is they don't have a Scorpion, so we should look at the armies quickly. But I will tell you they're not a Scorpion. We'll look at Numidia first. Numidia just has 8 Desert Legionnaires, very standard. 1 Slave Infantry, 5 Peltist, 1 Light, and then 3 Armored Numidian Riders with the Ballista. And yeah, that's another Peltist. So I'd say that's fairly standard. I think taking these Armored Numidian Riders is a decent choice, considering your other faction is Seleucid. None of you have really good anti-cav. Maybe the Armored Numidian Riders are a good choice for the cost. They are, in fact, a good choice for the cost. Their low armor is not really going to be a problem. There's not many missiles on the field, so they won't really do anything against the Cataphracts, but they can stop them from charging into you, which is still a bonus. Then you have the 5 Peltas, which are a great choice, because they can just do damage quickly. They can kill Cav, they can kill Thracian Nobles, and they double as melee infantry later in the battle, so no problem with that. Ballista, obviously, you need it, and it's doing a lot of damage. So yeah, Numidian army is kind of fine. Don't really have any problem with that. You get the guerrilla deploy with the light infantry. 3 Cav, yeah, seems about right. Because I think there's a max 4 camel rule. You probably wouldn't expect more than 4 to 5 cav in general, so you kind of want to have 4 to 5 cav of your own as the attacking team. I have more of a problem with the Seleucid army though. He has 2 Eastern Spearmen, sure, good fodder. He has 3 Thureos. I don't really like this. It's okay. I guess the 3 Thureos alone aren't really a problem. But the problem is you only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Thorax swords. Because you got these Thureos, and he has an Elephant. Actually, Elephant is kind of fine in this situation. Like, there's not much Pila at all on the field. So, inside sure, but not outside. So I actually like the Elephant here. But the real problem I'd say comes here. Why have 3 Peltas? This makes no sense whatsoever. You already have 5 Peltas in this video. You already have 3 Thoraspheres. These should be Slingers because all their units are weak to missiles, first of all. He does have 2 Syrian Archers, and definitely want the Syrian Archers because they can dump units inside. Maybe I would even go 3 Syrians, a Slinger, and like a fucking Javelinman or something, or not even bring the Javelinman. Maybe like, yeah, 2 Syrians and 2 Slingers or something. But you know that they're going to come outside with the cheap Slingers. And now you have these fucking useless Peltas, which don't do that much damage, are not good in melee. Their armor is like whatever, no one's going to shoot at them. These are just low value, and you have so many Pila units. Like, this is too many Pila units. Despite the fact that, yes, they will do damage to these low armored units, it's too many in the sense that you don't have enough regular units. You only have 5 infantry plus the 8 of Numidia. Like, you are out infantry super hard. The Thoreos are useless in melee. Sure, there's like 1 light infantry. Sure, the Peltas can double as infantry later in the game. But the problem is, so many Peltas are bad because if they overwhelm you, you're not going to be able to fire. Like, you're just going to get infantry running down the Peltas and chasing them away. So that's a big problem. The Agima Cav is fine. It's like 1 unit that can actually kind of stand up to the Cataphracts. It can't really. 70 armor, 100 health against 90 armor, 100 health. So, and also better mass, obviously, for the camels. But it's good. It's a good unit. I would take this for sure. There's also a Median Cav. I'm not sure why. If you also have the Elephant, like the Elephant can block a camel charge or whatever. Like, the Median Cav is just useless. Like, what is it going to kill? It can't kill things on the charge. It's only medium. It can kill the Slingers, but, like, who cares? Any Cav can do that. That's a bit of a waste. Again, like, I feel like if you change these Peltas that are 420 to Slingers that are 380, you're saving a bunch of money there. You could drop one of the Peltas entirely, upgrade these Thureos to Thorax, and then drop the Median Cav to help with that. And then get a Scorpion, right? Like, definitely need a Scorpion in this matchup. Because, again, they only have a few cav, and they can't afford to lose men on the cataphracts. So you have the ballista, which already ranges to here. Your scorpion will kind of range here, but it has more mobility, right? The ability to turn. Now their cav can't really get anywhere near you without taking losses, which means that their Sally needs to play far back, because if these units are close by, while their cav is really far away, you can just charge them. Like, people have a misconception that these units are good against cav, which is true in like long range or longer engagements, but in a short engagement on a charge, these guys don't kill anything. Like, Thracian nobles do, but the Thracian warriors don't. They just get owned on the charge. They just lose their entire unit on the charge. So these cav have a very difficult job, which is to protect these units, but also not die to the artillery, right? So again, if you're playing this wide and far up, you can really push them back. But if you give up all the space, now they still feel confident to push all the way to here, even if the cav has to play kind of here, because you're already cornered, and pushing out of the being cornered is much harder than pushing from a straight line, right? So this is kind of tough, in the sense that you can't really take advantage against the the few units of cav that are existing outside, basically, as easily. And now you're really forcing yourself to play defense, and you don't really want to play defense. Again, you're playing defense in range of the entire towers. Like, this is so bad. Here this camel's gonna try to come out and do something. It's actually not really doing much though. It's gonna lose a few men, I think, long term here. Maybe these dudes. Okay, make it out, I guess. But yeah, three camels dead. Like, Cav gets a nice charge into the mascot, gonna get some kills. But again, they're just fighting in front of the towers. Like, this is like basically this is like a siege that looks like noobs are playing, but it's the grand finals. You know, like, just because there are some units outside, all of a sudden, two very good players have become noobs. Like, just attacking a flat wall into 3 towers, bunching up, blobbing, everything that you would never do, just because there's a few units outside. And that's sort of the effect of this alley. But that's again why I'm saying you shouldn't fear, basically. You should 100% of the time play the siege normally and just deal with the Sally when it comes, by rotating units as needed. Ballista's still getting good value. They're busting down all these walls, so they definitely want to go inside soon. But again, like, look at the setup. Like, these slingers can definitely rotate down. They're getting out from outside now. They don't really want to stay out there anymore, but they already got a lot of value, killing off basically a whole Desert Legionnaire. And basically, because there's only 5 Thorax, if the Desert Legions get traded off, and like don't get good value, the game is over, because these mascot are just gonna get so much more value, and there's so many units on the field for ODK, right? So these legions, like losing basically a whole legion to this gate sally for basically nothing, like maybe like these guys lost 30 men, these guys lost 20 men, so 50 men for 90 men, 2 for 1 trade, basically in terms of manpower, is terrible for the attackers. And it's not going to get any easier when they try to run into this flat wall, which is like a very impossible situation to hold, basically. So here they go. I mean, they're just going to go for it, sending in this unit to die. I think... Okay, they're going to try to cap, but they're just going to get run down. And now you're just down an infantry unit. Like, unit is dead, and it didn't really cost the attackers anything, or the defenders, sorry, anything to do that. So the situation's already not good. There are 2 Syrians, which could try to start dumping these guys, but because there's like all these units on the wall and stuff, they don't really have any ability to do that yet. Artillery is trying to strike the camels, which is good. Again, already 10 men down on the general. Like, that's again, and Scorpion could just be doing the same thing to this unit, right? Or Scorpion the Thracian nobles, which already have lost some men as well. So yeah, I mean, they've already lost, not significant, but a fair fraction of men. But you can see, like, look how disorganized this defense is. It's so far back, like, they have to protect the ballista. And eventually they're gonna actually give this space up, so the ballista's just, I mean, once the ballista's out, I guess, but still. Didn't lose anything to that volley, but still. It's very dangerous to play like this again. Like, it's so easy to mass route these units. They're also just, like, again, they're trying to go inside, but this is impossible, like. Also, like, these slingers now also are uncontested because there's no eastern slingers, so these units are just uncontested out here. They're just dumping the shit out of the thorax, and you might say, okay, that's not really good value shooting frontally into the thorax. They actually got some sword side, but still, like, any value, again, any infantry they kill is just impossible to hold for the attackers because they have so few infantry. Trying to use the torque to kind of defend, which is doing a good job, I guess, of eating stuff. These Eastern Spearmen are going to eat some Pila. They're actually not even going to get a charge, these mascot, but look at the Pila angles, like ridiculous sword side. Ridiculous sword side here as well. I mean, these units are just going to lose. Thracian Noble can cycle at will. Slingers can sword side. This unit's gonna get surrounded. I mean, this is just not good. Now they can push with the Sally a little bit, just put some pressure, because you can see how out of position these units are here. They have to move all these slingers. Again, the tower's just dumping. Towers are just cooking everything at the moment. Everything is in range of the tower. They give up the ballista. I guess the ballista's probably out of ammo. 219 kills, did a good job for sure. But now you have no Scorpion, right? So the Cav can actually get quite close. This Cav is going to go for a charge. Doesn't get great value, though. I mean, there is a lot of Pila still, so they still have to be a little careful. But now is the thing, like, all their Pila is congested in one area, so they can't even get that much, like, fire on everything. Like, yeah, they can kill the units that come close, but, for example, now this Noble can just get through this gap, and yeah, they can get kind of Pila'd, but it's not going to be great, and they don't have the ability to spread out at all and kill the weak units, because now the Sally faction gets a great advantage, which is they can only have to fight in these narrow choke points. You might say, yeah, I mean, Thrace, they don't want to fight in narrow choke points. That's kind of true, but what it means is that the Thracian nobles get to engage alone. Normally, if you're spread wide, right, some places are just going to be Thracian warriors that you can kill and then break through the lines. And in some places, Thracian nobles will maybe break through your lines. But here, it's going to be just the nobles. Like, you can't break through is my point. You can't break through because, yeah, the Thracian warriors will charge in, but the nobles always need to be behind. They can cycle charge, and they're only fighting in one unit width gap, or maybe 2 units, right? So you're never going to be able to break through it. In theory, you have superior numbers out here, right? So you actually want to be breaking through the enemy's lines, surrounding them, and just getting value by, attacking units in the rear, and winning that way. But that's not going to happen in this situation. You're always going to be fighting in one choke point, and yeah, it'll allow your missiles to kind of dump, but at the same time it'll allow their missiles to dump. It's also going to mean you're very congested, and they have units that will, win the cycle charge. If you're fighting in a long line, there's no cycle charge going on, right? So the Thracian warriors are going to get no value because they're going to charge. They're going to get value on one charge and then just die. The Thracian nobles, they're going to get value by charging in, but they're not going to be able to cycle. Here, they can cycle at will and actually get a lot of value. Plus, they can actually hold the line with the mascots, which can actually just stay in combat and actually win. Whereas again, that wouldn't really be possible out here because yeah, the mascots would hold some places, but you would break through in others. So that's a big problem. But I would say the biggest problem is that they're just trying to win this battle inside. You never want to. I mean, it's just principles of that siege players would know quite well, right? You would never want to just run into a flat wall and try to get value that way. Like, of course, the defenders are going to be ready. And yes, if in theory you break through, it's like good because you can run to the victory point. But like, the Sally's already here. You're never going to be breaking through in time. If the defenders feel like they're going to start falling apart, they'll just rush you from the outside and hope that they win that way. But because they're getting good value inside, even if they start to break, like even if your overwhelming numbers slowly break down the defenders, you're going to be trading so negatively that the Sally, in theory, should just defeat you from the outside before your lines completely collapse and you get to the VP. So trying to rush for the VP is not really an option in this situation. So now you can see mascots are getting in, good engagement, cycle charge is going to go down here. They can completely push this back. They can even kill this thorax if they want. And no cav is being used, by the way. Like, look at these cav and look at the elephant. All the cav is just jerking off back here. They could be pushing this side, right? Trying to kill some of these Thracian warriors. Trying to get charges here. Obviously because they're playing in such a condensed area, their cav also has low utility. But why bring all these cav units if you're not going to be able to use them? Like, obviously the cataphracts aren't being used either, but the cataphracts have more play, right? Because they can come around this flank. They could do stuff here. Your cabbage is, like, this is a lot of wasted money right here, basically, while you're still losing the fight inside, right? And again, that's sort of why rushing inside doesn't really do you any good. If you're going to rush inside, you might as well bring less cav and just hope that you break through. But you're never going to break through. It's never going to happen. And even here, like, yeah, okay, one mascot is low. This one's, like, a little low. But these are all pretty healthy. Thracian Noble's good here. This is a full, well, half-strength mascot. So you can see, they're slowly kind of breaking them, but the value is so negative. Thracian Noble getting a ton of kills. Thracian Noble here getting a ton of kills. They're already down to no infantry, right? Like, now there's more infantry outside than there is for the defenders than there is for the attackers. They still haven't really aren't even close to breaking through here. And not only now are the archers getting unleashed, only now are the archers able to really do anything. And also, these Pila, I mean, okay, the Pila on the Thracian Nobles is good, but like when your Pila behind your, like when the engagement is here, right? Your Pila is dog shit here, right? You can only Pila units that are cycling because you're going to be shooting your own men otherwise. Whereas if you're on a wider battlefield, once you break through somewhere, you can use the Pila more effectively to flank and surround and stuff. Or just surround in general because, it's a wide line you can play for the flank. Here there's no flanking action, so your pelters are forced to fire bad shots for the majority of the time. And yeah, they didn't try to, like, hurt these mascots at all with the archers first. They just charged in and exploded. And it's actually the slingers who are getting more value, just dumping these units frontally. And you can see, I mean, yeah, the line is collapsing at this point. There's really nothing left. There's only 3 thorax and a couple of legions. And the elephant, I guess. And the elephant, again, it's like, why bring the elephant to save for a bad situation? And also, it's like, the elephant is useless here, right? There's only 2 ways for it to go, and they can always rotate mascot to get a Pila volley. Whereas if you're playing out here, imagine the elephant out here. It could just come from one flank, you can overwhelm that flank and just cross the line with your elephant and literally route everything, because there's no way they can rotate the Pila effectively. Like, there's only 3 mascot, you can bring your cav, you can just charge the mascot so it doesn't get Pila, and your elephant can come in. Here, it's a blob, they have support from inside, there's no way the elephant can get an effective engagement, nor the cav. And so this is really just going to be kind of fast death for the Sally. So we can kind of skip the rest of this, honestly. Like, at this point, they have no ground. They haven't neutralized the towers. The towers probably have like 500 kills or something. Just dumping away frontally here. They're going to go on the tower, or the torch, I guess, try to break that, try to push back the Sally. But they can even dump these frontally, these Thracian Falksmen and Thracian warriors here, and it won't matter. Like with the Pila, they're probably almost out, if anything, of Pila. They haven't touched the Cataphracts yet. They don't even need, like, they could play this game without Cataphracts at this point, probably would. Oh, here comes another attack. I mean, yeah, they're going to get some really nice Pila. But, I mean, it doesn't really matter, right? Because, again, these Falcons will get some kills on the charge. These Pila are slowly going to run out, and now there are still Cataphracts. There's still a huge flanking force that you have no way to counter. 2 of the mascots, Thracian Noble, a Cataphract probably should have came here as well. Trying to get through the breaches is not going to happen. Cav trying to make a play, but it's just like a clueless play, charging into a breach. And, I mean, long term, you just don't have enough units. Like, this collapse from the Nobles is going to be, well, most devastating. Even holding here, because they know they're about to break through, and now once they break through, these missiles will be under threat, and at that point, oh, there won't be much left to do. Thracian Slingers getting some kills as well. Actually, not as many as I thought, but yeah, just completely inverted value. Losing all the units, all the infantry units fast, and then now you have all these missiles left over, you have the elephant left over, and you haven't even made a dent in the sallying force. Made a dent in the inside force, but just a dent. That's about it. Gonna try to make some mad dash for the VP with the Cav, but there are Cataphracts inside, so that's really never gonna work. And again, like, you'd have to be crazy to lose this to the VP. Like, it's just not gonna happen. For some reason, I can't actually see the like, I don't know, the UI element is gone. Now they're attacking on this flank too. They're still nobles. Syrians, yeah, Syrians are getting some value. Again, if they just use that value before going inside, right, that would just be better. But everything is just collapsing outside. Elephant is just being saved for tomorrow, I guess. Next season. But yeah, I mean, finally it's gonna try to come in here, but you can see they'll just cycle the mascots out and get the Pila volley, muck the elephant, and then once it's a muck, the slingers will keep it a muck by continuing to do the damage to it. And the Cav trying to go for the VP, but in the end, kind of hopeless. Because, yeah, I mean, the Cataphracts are just better. And, I mean, the entire army is alive, so, yeah, Elephant going down, not going to get much value either. 100 kills, but that is all. And Cataphract kind of trading off with these 2 army riders, Kagima Cav. Trying to trade with Cataphract, but there are more Cataphracts as well. They're not even worried about the VP. Like, it is kind of isolated, but they can always run back with their Cav force and fairly easily control this situation. Cataphracts are even winning this fight. Army loss is going to kick in, but yeah, so that was the game. Again, kind of a disaster. I mean, if I'm honest, kind of a disaster, because the game was not really ever close. I mean, I think from the first second, the attackers had their plan completely wrong, and, well, they got punished for it by, like, Saba ODK is a very punishing faction, right, like, combo, right, like, if you don't play against it right, of course, the battle probably will be very decisive, but the thing is, it also has so many weaknesses that it seems like it should be easy to play against. So, okay, that was the in-game analysis. I'm gonna tab out real quick. I'm gonna go into the unit selection here. They're attackers, so they have full money. I kind of want to see, so they want Numidia, that makes sense. I want to see quickly the points that they could have played with. So I'm going to tab out real quick. Again, they used some factions. This is game 3. It was a 3v3 tournament, and they used 6 factions. The factions were reset for the finals, and they used 6 factions in the first 2 games, and then the final game was 2-2. So I'm not sure if they had all these factions available. Um, I don't remember exactly what they used. It was like RDAI, they used Massilia, other shit, but whatever. Anyway, so they picked Numidia first. Numidia is a -2, so yeah, they can use a -1. And they had Parthia available, so I'm just sure why I didn't pick that. But anyway, out of all the -1 or below factions that they could have picked, just for, like, obviously they first picked Numidia before they knew the salary was coming, so that's whatever. The defenders, by the way, yeah, I mean, ODK is +3, Saba is -2, and you get +2 points for playing defense, so that's 5 -2 is +3, yeah, so they were 3 points under the limit. But with Numidia, they could have gone, so yes, Selly, Egypt, Syracuse, Rising Republic, Rome, Parthia, Nervii, and Samnites were the options. So the only, and then of course they could use lesser factions as well, but don't think I would really have taken any of those. Not sure why I don't go Parthia here, to be honest. Looking at this situation, but we'll look at 2 situations. One where they go Selly, one where they go Parthia. We have Numidia, we have Selly. Let's say first and foremost. So again, pretty happy with this build that they went with for NVIDIA. Can only take 5 of these. Weird. Anyway, they had 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They had the ballista. They had the 3 cav. And they had the light infantry and the slave infantry. Sure. Yeah, this army's not bad. Yeah, I wouldn't really say I would change much. The only thing I was thinking is, like, maybe you bring a Jav Cav. But I'm not sure what you would do that instead of, so, like, maybe you would do it instead of this, and you could do this. But it does cost towards your missiles a limit, so I understand not doing it. Just the Jav Cav would be very annoying because, well, yeah, I don't know. I think this is fine. Yeah, so I don't have any problem with the army for NVIDIA. I think it makes pretty good sense overall. But Selly, again, Selly have a lot of problems with their army. So let's say you want the Agima Cav, and you want the Elephant. Both understandable, I would say. Then my point was, you go 2 Syrians, sure, but then you go 2 Eastern Slingers. I don't even think you can go up Peltis. Maybe you do, I don't know. You bring the Scorpion for sure, and then you go, let's see, 8 Thorax. Okay, a bit expensive to go 8 Thorax because of the Elephant and the Cav, I guess. But still, you could do this. You could just do this 2 Hillman. Or maybe it's better to go, like, can you get 3? No, not quite. So you go 2 Hillman here. Again, now you have at least, like, a bunch of melee infantry. You don't have a lot of Peltis, but you have the 2 Eastern Slingers, which can do damage to the Thracian Warriors. You have the 2 Syrians if you want to shoot outside. You could even, yeah, I mean, that's fine. You have the 2 Cav. Numidia has 3 Cav, so you have 4 Cav plus the Elephant, which can obviously do shit against the Cav-Rex. So that would be good. If you wanted to go, I don't know, like a Pike or something, you could do that too. Because then if, it can hold off basically an entire wherever you want and kind of just be annoying, which is good. If you go inside, if you break inside, it can be useful to lock your exit, basically. Again, there's not a lot of Pila, just Chief Slingers, so that could have been good. Yeah, just, again, removing the Peltis and Throws, because you already have that covered. Like, you're not that worried about the 4 Cataphracts that you have to bring your entire army to counter them. And, like, the Slingers are going to be more valuable killing infantry than the Peltis are, the regular Peltis. Syrian's still there. You have the Scorpion, which is going to do a lot of damage. And shoot Cataphracts, basically. And basically, with the artillery and the Scorp, you have a lot of potential to shoot down Cataphracts, and they don't have any ability to touch your Cav and the Elephant, realistically. So, that's going to be an advantage for you. So yeah, a couple of options there I think would have been better, but the wholly better strategy I think would have just been to go Parthia. Then Numidia doesn't even bring the Cav, like Numidia doesn't have to worry about Cav at all. They just go full infantry spam. Like, I don't know, like maybe bring it to cohort. sure. So now you have a fuck ton of infantry. These new light infantry are actually be pretty useful outside because they can just Pila, they can support, they're fast, they can move around the battlefield, they can kill Thracian warriors after they're like slightly depleted. I think they might even just win the 1v1. But now you have a lot of potential. Anti-cav is there. Ballista, sure. Bunch of infantry. 9, 13 infantry, plus all the heavy Numidians when they're out of ammo. And Parthians are just going to play anti-cav. They're going to bring maybe the Royal Cataphract, maybe even the Noble Horse Archer is fine. Bring like 4 regular Cataphracts. I mean, maybe you're worried, so you want to bring more, but I think it's fine, realistically 4, and then you're going to bring probably like either 2 foot and 2 slingers, or 4 foot. Probably better to bring the 4 Parthian foot in this situation, but 2 and 2 is fine if you want to contest them outside at all. You have the 5 missile units, great. And then, yeah, after that, it's pretty much just whatever. If you want to bring the elephant, even in theory, you could. Maybe at the cost of a cataphract or something. You could bring this. Would be pretty good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You get the cataphract, so better missiles. Maybe don't bring the horse archer. I don't know. Probably can't bring this and the elephant, though. It's a little ridiculous. I mean, you could do this, but that's not making too much sense. So you probably just want to bring the horse archer and 4 cataphracts, I think is making the most sense. And you could bring some hillmen and eastern spearmen just to make out the numbers. And now you have 5 cav, sure one of them is a horse archer, but still 4 cav plus the 1. You have a lot of anti-cav. You know that Saba's probably not bringing more than 5 cav, so if they bring 5 cav, you're 1 cav short if you don't want to use your noble horse archer in melee, which you probably don't. But you have a horse archer now which can surround and kind of put their cav in a tough spot, right? Because their cav needs to be out of scorpion and artillery range, but now the horse archer can like post up behind and just hunt the cav and try to get some kills that way. Can also just kill slingers and stuff later. And then you have good infantry again, like these guys are pretty much going to do the same as Thorax. You only have 6 of them in this case, but you also have 4 cataphracts, so now you really have nothing to fear against the Sally. Like, the 4 cataphracts will absolutely decimate any sort of Sally potential if you're that worried about it. And again, in this case, you can even go on the attack, right? If you're, again, like, in the position they played, they could never try to attack the Sally because they were being surrounded, and at that point it would be kind of risky to do that. But if they fight it straight out, then these cataphracts, if the enemy cav is far away, can just go on the offensive and try to kill the Thracian warriors. I mean, they could even have done that with the Numidian units, like if they were playing in a long line, if they were playing more aggressively against the Sally. Though if the cataphracts for Saba were really far away, fearing the artillery fire, then you could just hunt the Thracian warriors and just try to charge them, because there's no Pila, right? There's no Pila at all. The Sabaean units were really late to the party. There are some slingers, sure, but like whatever. And again, if you had your own slingers like contest, then even better. But isolated Thracian warriors are easily charged down, which would actually force the Sally to engage you, and then you can just win because all your units are outside. You can just bring reinforcements, and yeah, that would be much more effective. So, not putting so much emphasis on the Pila, I think, was the biggest mistake. Again, like Seleucid does not need to be bringing anywhere near that much Pila. Even a cheaper elephant might have been good. Like, if you look at the difference between these, like, it's 200 health, basically. That's the only difference between these two units. And 200 health, sure, is a lot, but when there's no Pila in play, actually it's not that much, because nothing's really going to be doing damage to the elephants long term. If the elephants are being used to break the enemy line, where you're kind of just, like, mass routing them when the elephants get in. Again, also bringing the Scorpion. I guess I didn't have a Scorpion as Parthia, which you don't really need as much because you have the cav power, but if you want to bring a Scorpion, I would say it's fine. Like, this is still acceptable. Sure, you're a little bit weaker on infantry, but the Scorpion probably makes up for that. This is probably a little excessive though, like maybe you go 3 cav in the Scorpion or something, and then you can get back what you lost in terms of infantry could even do this. Because yeah, the Scorpion and the Ballista is a lot, but I wouldn't hate this army. Like, this is completely fine, I think. Anyway, same thing with Seleucids. You bring the Scorpion. You bring like a fuck ton of Thorax. Just to make up the numbers, you bring the Syrians, you bring the Eastern Slingers, you can change this out for more, you bring the Hillmen. Or if you want, Eastern Spears, sure, whatever. And yeah, I think that's kind of the difference. And then yeah, it's just the way they played it was completely bad. Just allowed so much room for the Sally. And not even room for the Sally, but they just went inside when it was terrible to do that. Like, no, they would never in a normal siege game play it like that, and so just because there's a Sally outside, they tried to rush inside, and they met kind of their inevitable demise, trying to rush inside. not, using all the torts available, etc., 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 not weakening the units inside before going in, blah, 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 and they lose. Anyway, that is the analysis. Hope you guys learned something. Hope I won't see another season where this shit works, because it really is easy to counter, and I'm pretty sure, if you're confused at all about some of the stuff I've been saying, you go back and watch the Art of the Sally, the video I made last year. It's very long, but you can just skip to the parts that you need help with. I think everything was well explained there, and there's a lot of evidence that what I'm saying is true. So, anyway, hope this was helpful. Hope you guys that watch, if you're a Siege player, will continue to level up your anti-Sally gameplay instead of just fearing and calling it OP or like trying to remove it from the game. Because it's really not that good. It's really not that good. In theory, you're just fighting a land battle with less money. But obviously, it does cater to certain skill sets, which some people don't have as much of in the Siege community, for obvious reasons. But, yeah, I mean, especially when it's like ODK Saba. ODK Saba it's so weak. It's so weak. Like, the ODK units are so bad in the wrong situations. They're very good in the right ones, but they're very bad in the wrong ones. Saba is just a good faction, but ODK has so many weaknesses that makes the combo boom or bust, kind of. And we've really only seen the boom in the tournament games, but the bust is probably easier to achieve, honestly. But anyway, I'll stop the rambling now. Hope you guys learned something. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and see you guys in the next video. Peace.